All right, hey everybody. We're here with a new SirLinksalot podcast with Adrian Borg. He's the owner of Aphex Media, has been in just about every competitive / nefarious niche you can imagine, and succeeded at it. Yeah, overall, just a really interesting character who's been in the SEO world for a long period of time. So we're super excited to talk to you about what you've had going, what you've got going. Do you want to give like a little intro about yourself, you know, how you got into SEO, your claim to fame, just a little bit for the people that don't know you?
Hi guys. So thanks for the invite, guys. First off, super excited to be here. Basically, I got into SEO almost by coincidence. Was around 3 years now, so actually not that long, I guess, Nick.
Feels like a long time in SEO, though.
Well, yeah, it's true. I mean, even 3 months is a long time.
Yeah, I think it was me and you started probably, I guess, around the same time then with the deep dive into SEO, or at least for ourselves, yeah.
Exactly. So I don't remember the good old days.
Yeah, me either.
I hear about them, but
we
I
weren't
never
there.
really wasn't there. Basically, I landed. I'm based in Malta. So casino and gambling is big, and after spending good almost 10 years into operations and trading, because I was into casino myself, but on the sports side. Got this job with this affiliate company, basically on the operational side, and literally that was the first time I heard about like the SEO and the marketing.
Really?
Affiliate. I mean that was how it landed, then got me curious. And that was right about the time I think that I heard about more or less you and think it was Matthew Woodward back then. The all famous Black Hat World Forum.
Right.
And then after a while, your typical, not typical, I mean, the Matt Diggity, then
big
start
names.
reading they are the big names. Then you start reading and reading and reading, and you keep reading, and then you start trying, right?
Sure.
So that's kind of how it all started. SEO is mainly a big thing into casino, especially because it's one of the avenues where you can use, because PPC, a lot of the paid media is blocked, so a lot of effort and focus is put on the SEO side. And that's how basically that niche kind of led to others, because once you get a bit of hang into how stuff works, there are other niches which have the same limitations, right? But then just curiosity really, and a big curiosity, kind of you keep building sites and keep learning, and now we're kind of here. I mean, Aphex Media is 18 months old, more or less, maybe a bit less, and we started off doing some link selling. Mainly it was reselling and some SEO with a service, and now we're diversifying because of we're basically monetizing the network, the internal network, which we use for clients as PBNs, but it's not even PBNs, it's monetized. And we're essentially in 3 niches, and now we just started with the 4th niche, which are all the, like you said, all the dirty niches.
So
casino,
payday. So casino, payday, adult,
adult. Adult, and now basically pharma.
Oh, pharma as well.
It was the last one.
So
that's the new thing. I mean...
So you basically
Yeah,
see like a normal
no comment.
niche and you're like, fuck that. You pretty much stick to the bad
But
niches.
yeah, I
The
mean,
dirt.
basically with pharma, we have a little experience with the weight niche, weight loss stuff.
Uh-huh.
But now we're kind of getting into it with
Okay.
a client, and we're super
Okay,
excited
so
actually because it's
it's for
different.
clients mainly, or are you promoting your
Um,
own assets at this point?
I mean, I think in one niche is basically, I mean, pharma, it's for sure clients
Mm-hmm.
because of all the paperwork and everything.
Right.
Um, but for internally, I mean, because I mean the way we like to work is, the assets we build behind every website. Basically, we're constantly increasing a network
Mm-hmm.
of great sites,
Of
really,
course. Right. Yeah.
and and tiered sites.
Mm-hmm.
And then, just the nature of the game, really, where if you play with numbers, then you will hit that odd site every now and then, which ends up being bigger than your money site.
Gotcha.
And those are basically the sites that, then we end up monetizing internally
Mm-hmm.
or see what we're going to do with them. But essentially, as long as you play with the numbers, you will hit these odd sites every now and then, which sometimes it's not always explainable, but they just fly just on their own.
What kind of
Um,
what kind of SERPs are you going after? Is it foreign SERPs, European SERPs? Where are you basing most of it, if you don't
okay,
mind me
so
asking?
basically for casino, it's all European,
Right.
and we're doing a lot of client SEO there,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a mix between a lot of Scandics, UK, and Central European.
Okay.
So that's very kind of targeted. Um, then for adult, yeah, it's wherever really.
Anywhere.
Um,
Okay.
I mean, yeah, I mean with adult, that's a bit of a different game.
So adult would
I
be the
mean,
main one
you
that's
can touch it,
kind
but
of set apart
it's
in
a
its
very
own
interesting
way.
niche. Look, mind you.
Yeah.
Yeah, yes, it is because and I mean, and I'll get to it, but I mean the reason why I like ads is it's literally completely unfiltered.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Google doesn't bother about anything.
So you can
So
spam.
you can see certain basics how they are, but it's not just spam. Basically, I mean, literally, you can get away with duplicate content still within that
Oh,
niche.
okay.
Um, so but you can run some tests where you wouldn't be able on other niches. So that's in a way what you learn from it.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, to be fair, it's quite technical as well because I
Oh,
mean things like crawl budgets. I think it's the perfect niche to test your how crawl
really?
budgets is being handled. Yeah, because I mean, you have a website with, 8,000, 10,000 pages, right? And you're trying to optimize how your crawl rate is affecting your ranks.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to write 8,000 pages of content
Right.
and worry about, copyscape and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a perfect niche to test certain things
Okay.
without having to worry about the actual setup too much, at least. So yeah, I think the positive thing about being in multiple niches is that you start seeing things from different angles,
Mm-hmm.
and by default, certain things are more are more evident in certain niches, like payday. Um, in payday, I think one of the biggest, it's one of the old niches, they say, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the old niches is that the keywords are, I mean, for anyone being in payday might understand this, is that they're very close together.
Right.
So, at which point, and especially now with BERT, with the recent changes that Google has been trying to to implement
Mm-hmm.
with some semantics and BERT and all that, The question is, how is Google interpreting the associations and the entities? Because, everyone's speaking about entities, but where is that fine line? Where, should this keyword be on this page or should it be on this page?
Right.
And it's something I think that is not spoken maybe enough in the SEO world, but I think one of the best optimization methods that I'm finding lately is actually de-optimizing stuff.
So
But anyway.
explain a bit further.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, in layman's terms, if you have dog and dogs, right? I mean, if you're trying to use common logic, you might say, you might need one page, right, to rank the same terms. But if Google is basically, just associating those two keywords, which for you, they might relate to the same entity. But if Google basically wants two pages, essentially, you need to give it 2 pages. And
right.
some people might interpret this as, what the user wants, basically, user side. So, trying to answer the query, essentially. But it's not so simple. I think it's a bit more scientific than that. But yeah, and actually, I think this morning, because today was a very big day. I don't know if you want to touch that, but
yeah, I do actually.
I was
going to ask you what you noticed.
Sure, you will just get to that. But I was talking with Michael from Surfer, because I think at the moment they are the guys who are the closest to getting like deep into this, into like the keyword clustering based on what Google wants, though. Because everyone's kind of trying to do, topic clustering and all that.
Right.
But I mean, at the end of the day, even like the way I like to think is, look, I mean, there's a lot of science and algorithms, AI, machines, and all that, which is all great.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, practically, you just need to feed Google what Google wants, right? And your best source for that is just by analyzing the SERPs.
Right. Yeah. Simple.
So yeah. I mean, you can't just try and complicate everything, but simple is best.
Yeah.
And Surfer, I think, are getting quite close with that. Essentially, basically, look, if you're ranking for a keyword on a page, and the top 10 are not ranking for that keyword, you probably should consider de-optimizing for that keyword. And I've seen like crazy jumps using that.
Just specifically from that.
And I'm talking about top SERPs like casino, just the word casino, jump from positions 12 to 3.
And so what kind of saturation were you saying that, like what percentage, if you had to give a idea, would you be removing from an asset that needed that?
I mean, it's so first off, you need to identify which keywords you need to remove. Right? And so that's the painful bit, because it's very manual intensive at the moment.
Just tedious task.
I mean, we have some tools, but I think the easiest thing would be to just download your Ahrefs, and see basically, it's kind of reverse gap analysis, because gap analysis tells you what you're missing, but here you're trying to find out what you have that you don't want there, and then I mean, it's quite simple, really. Just see. Just reduce the exact matches or the term frequencies, and you should be done. It's not complicated, really.
No, just tedious, right? I mean,
so you're talking
I
about...
mean, it's a pain, but...
Yeah.
So you're talking about removing or de-optimizing for certain keywords and then seeing your main keyword, your main target for that page have huge jumps.
Yeah. Yep, cool. Big time. Yeah. And I mean, I've seen it work so much that it's and I mean it's something that we do like all the time, even on top SERPs. So
So it's one of the beginning things you do, I'm assuming, to audit, if you're having some kind of issue with a page.
I'm not sure about like auditing. I mean, basically, we don't really do like auditing. I mean, it's something. What's his name? Cuttridge. What's his name? Matt, I think.
Daniel?
Talks a lot about it. Daniel Cuttridge, yeah. I mean, we do a lot of progressive optimization, and the reason for that is that, I mean, you can't. I mean, yeah, optimizing is a big word, right? So. Because you need to optimize based on what state a page or a website is. And so, you know, the optimal basically is constantly changing.
Right.
And so I wouldn't really call it an audit. Let's call it maintenance. We should probably start calling it maintenance.
Right on.
But yeah, that's something that we really keep an eye on, especially for those. I mean, sometimes, you know, you have a cluster of keywords that get stuck, especially those positions between 10 and 12, especially, and that can be a reason. You know, basically, you know, you're either missing some off-page signals, right? It can be you're missing a signal.
Sure.
So it can be, you know, local links or topical links or whatever. But it can also be like this on-page, with the on-page mixed signals. Let's call them mixed signals. So your signals are not accurate enough.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, that's something I just wanted to share.
Nice.
I think it's really not talked enough.
No, it's a good tidbit for sure.
So on the same topic, I know you're saying that, you know, each SERP can be very different as far as, you know, what they're allowing, or basically how many keywords they're allowing to rank, depending on the keywords. Like for, you know, so maybe you're trying to rank casino and whatever, gambling on the same page. Maybe Google's just not letting that happen. Do you have like, I know it probably changes a lot like for every single SERP, but for, you know, do you have like any kind of general guidelines of like how many keywords you try to rank on a page, or are you just doing it all case by case?
Okay, no, I mean, so basically it is case by case, and because I mean, basically, like I said, you know, you need to give Google what Google wants. That's really what this is all about. And you know, until last year, my favorite tool, before, you know, or maybe a bit more before POP, kind of, you know, Page Optimizer Pro. It was, and it still is kind of, you know, I used to love Website Auditor. And we used to use TF-IDF, right? For anyone who ever used the method. I mean, and that was basically checking keyword frequencies. Then there was Page Optimizer Pro, which, you know, kind of was the same thing, but maybe a bit more in depth, because it was also checking the HTML code. Then, you know, Surfer came into the picture, and with some more effort into keyword frequencies, which was really good. I think it was a median between, you know, the TF-IDF, but frequencies were maybe a bit lacking. But I think now we're moving into a bit of a different direction with entities, because with entities now we're moving into machine learning. And the issue with machine learning, you know, it's a cluster of words that make up a topic. So while frequencies might still make sense, I mean, one suggestion I might have, and I'm not sure if it was POP that have it, was that to remove because what you can do is to remove any words that do not exist. And so you can to basically de-optimize, but you can have other signals that you are doing unaware, that you know, because if you have an internal links, for instance, that
sure.
So that's, I mean, what I like to do basically is just download all the keywords from Ahrefs for the top 10, for the top SERPs. You know, once you get there, compare them to what you have, and then basically anything that stands out, essentially de-optimize for that. It's that simple.
So, so you're pretty much only replicating what's currently working.
Isn't everyone doing that?
Well, so especially I think a lot of maybe newish people to affiliate or whatever they're doing, I see them kind of trying to always get this additional leg up by like trying to squeeze in extra keywords like, oh, well, maybe I'll be able to do this. Maybe I'm the first person that's ever thought of doing this. So you would advise against that and say completely
Yeah.
replicate what's on page one,
Yeah,
top
for
position.
sure, for sure. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, it's not something I would definitely suggest.
That sounds like a time
Um,
saver.
yeah, I mean, look, I mean, you don't need to reinvent the wheel, and
Right.
especially for someone that's just starting out. Um, I mean, for someone that's starting out, actually, I would suggest copy more and do more, right?
Sure.
So don't start one domain, start 10,
Right.
and then yeah,
Well, you're
just
part of the school of thought of going with 10 versus 1.
yeah, always.
What about I mean, that's got to be, you've got to have somewhat unlimited bankroll or resources, no?
Not necessarily. I mean, because I mean, look, if you're just starting out, and I mean, I look back at how I started at the end of the day, and especially now, because if you're just starting, right? Everyone talks about content because that's usually one of the initial bottlenecks.
Sure.
Um, let's say you're going for a topic. Help me out. Maybe.
What's the best hoverboard?
Just get a topic, and Amazon what
Sure.
hair dryers. Write one page if you have to yourself. If you're not good at writing, you need to find whatever you like doing. Spin it over. There's a lot of good spinners nowadays.
You're still spinning content?
Yes.
Yeah?
Actually, not but I don't use spinners. I like to use translate or double
Okay.
translate stuff.
Sure, yeah.
But for starters, I think that I mean, for English it works maybe a bit slightly less in some niches, but start with that. If that's your bottleneck, don't worry. Like, do it. Let the
So
site.
just get it done.
Yeah, just get it done. Let the sites age. As soon as you're done, then just see what's started to move, and then
Right.
if anything, just start revising that content, especially above the fold stuff.
Right.
And then you do this progressive optimization, because that's what this is all about. You focus your energies where they're worth.
Nice.
So that's something, yeah, definitely. And I mean, yeah, because I was always almost going to miss it. But nowadays you can easily get a couple of expired domains,
Right.
which you would basically spare. You have all the foundation ready
Right.
in terms of links. Or you can even, which is also one method we use quite a lot for PBNs. So basically, instead of repurposing, buy a brand, something which is on topic in terms of PBNs. Find a powerful domain, whatever niche it is, and then 301 it to your
Right.
PBN, and all of a sudden you have, it can be a money site using the same method, right?
Absolutely. Nice. I feel like a lot of people typically say, get started with one project, but it does make sense, especially if, I mean, like I know when I got started, I still have a treasure trove of random stuff I started from 3 years ago, And I remember talking to you, it's like, before everything worked, you've got all these different random projects, you're trying different things. It's like having a garage with a bunch of like busted down cars, and you're just, little
Yeah.
pieces here, little pieces here, and one day something will start
Yeah.
driving around, I guess.
Yeah. I
Um,
mean, I have some domains from back then. I think
mhm.
I still keep them just out of
Just the
it's like
nostalgia.
memorabilia almost.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I have a few of those too, and it's like I don't know why I have them, but you know, they're
My
there.
favorite one I think is my Pokemon PBN.
Oh, you've got a Pokemon PBN.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nice. That's cool. That's nice.
How much for a link?
Yeah, right?
Whatever.
Um, one thing I wanted to talk about, since it is, a new day for the Google Algo update, you and I were talking privately. You mind sharing some
Yeah,
viewpoints you might have found on what's going on today?
sure. I mean, it's not like science, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, no,
I
it's
saw your
basically,
numbers and your science is all going shooting through the roof, so I'm sure your profits are happy.
yeah, yeah. We're laughing for once, so
That's good.
it's all
Did
Nice.
good.
someone else comment on the post in our group that actually said they had an adult site as well that
Oh, really?
was
That's doing well?
that shot up?
Yeah, Adrian's got some ideas as to some of that, I think.
Yeah. No, I mean, basically, look, I mean, it's too early to make like any conclusions,
Sure.
but from the indications, right? I mean, that I've seen so far, and I think today, like I said, like I was telling Nick earlier, yesterday, actually, because it was rolled out yesterday here, in the evening,
Mm-hmm.
and I had a bit of a late night and woke up at 4:30 actually today. Uh, yeah, these algo updates get me a bit excited.
Yeah.
But what I'm seeing is that there has been somewhat a bit of a relaxation almost on the YMYL kind of niches. So the medical, actually I've seen a couple of medical pharma sites that kind of got back. For payday, there was a shuffle which seemed to show some signals that sites which maybe didn't have the best EAT, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Even though
YMYL,
Your
your
money
money
or
or
your
your
life.
yeah,
life
there we go.
stuff.
Your life.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
there we go.
basically it's pharma,
Mm-hmm.
health, weight loss,
Right, everything that,
some finance. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, it was the last algo update that hit that niche real heavy, right?
The
Or
last
was
one
it
was,
previous?
but I mean, yeah, I mean, most of the last ones I think were targeting that. I wouldn't even call it an issue almost because it's
Mm,
multiple niches. But yeah, it's a section I think of the SERPs where Google feels vulnerable, or I don't know. Yeah,
sure.
it's I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, there was for sure a big shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, I mean for adult, I mean I've seen some jumps, but I think that niche is like the one that really is usually not affected that much.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to try hard basically to get penalized in that niche.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Like really, really hard. Um, of course, I mean the on the other side is that and it's a niche where you're getting 100K users a day,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like
How does that translate to like profits and monetization?
I mean, look, it's first off, it's all about the geos, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a big difference between having traffic from Egypt, India, and having traffic from Japan or the US. So
Okay,
that's
sure.
that's the starting point. But then I think it's also down to the non-SEO factors, which I've read actually that Chris is quite into the it's all about CRO and the optimization funnels.
Mm-hmm.
You can have the same traffic, and Chris might be doing this much from that traffic, and someone else might be doing a lot less or a lot more, right?
Mm-hmm.
So and the more time passes, I think that's something that it's kind of becoming a bit more part of SEO now.
Okay.
which the conversion of basically, yeah, all right, so you got the traffic now, what are you going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's like laser targeted, but how well can you use that traffic?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I
but
feel
so
like a
yeah,
lot of
but
people are
it's all
starting
about
to turn more towards CRO now. I don't really know the reason. It might just be that people are getting more used to the internet, and so like basically all the sites on the internet are getting better at what they do, and so it's like if you don't pay attention to it, you really stick out. Whereas, you know, 3, 5 years ago, whatever, it was a little more
yeah,
chill.
for sure. And to be honest with you, I mean that's why I also like lead gen
Mm-hmm.
because it's so much easier to optimize.
Sure.
Of course, you get paid less, but you know, and I mean, and especially for me, where you kind of you're maybe not mature in all areas of the business yet.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I at this point in time, I almost prefer to focus more on the traffic side. So basically, kind of focusing more on dealing with the traffic issue
Mm-hmm.
wherever I can, of course. But lately, we just literally just started from a few months ago that to put some effort into improving in that area because it's almost a different beast, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because I mean, yeah, right. So you have the traffic. All right, the traffic is targeted. The traffic is hot. You start putting the traffic with warm traffic.
Mm-hmm.
Cold traffic. Then the funneling stuff, where the user is going. The message. Uh, and I mean, it's not a it's a different science than SEO, to be
Sure.
honest.
Mm-hmm.
And the guys that I mean, there are some guys who really put a lot of effort and are like top into it. So
Mm-hmm.
it shouldn't fall under SEO, to be fair. But
Yeah. It's
Right, it's a
when
different beast.
with an agency, kind of everything kind of ends
yeah
up
falls
on
under.
the table. Yeah.
So, do you normally do CRO type stuff yourself, or do you pass it off to, someone who's a little bit more specialized?
No, I'm basically. I don't do everything myself. I mean, we have a team of 19 now,
Mm-hmm.
so not solo. Thank God,
Yeah.
we're blessed with a team. Um, uh, in terms of CRO, so it really depends on the project. I mean, most of our clients, we just handle the SEO side,
Mm-hmm.
or so basically, it's corporate kind of. So it's PBN management, PBN strategy,
Mm-hmm.
footprint management, some, some link building. Then when it comes to the clients where we handle everything, so to speak, yeah, of course, maybe CRO might end up on our table.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I mean, we usually start off doing the obvious ourselves. Because I mean, again, even with design, we move from phases.
Sure.
We don't put, we don't spend 3 months
Mm-hmm.
designing the best site that we think that CRO will work. So we start from foundation, then keep evolving.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but for sure, I mean, I'm in talks with a couple of companies for CRO, mainly Convertica. You probably know the guys. Um, but of course, you need a certain amount of volumes specifically on a page for that to happen. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's not one area. That's certainly not my strong point. So
I gotcha.
Yeah, I think, yeah, like you said, it's something that a lot of people are just now kind of starting to turn towards a little bit more seriously.
yeah, you have to.
For
And
sure.
the thing is, you need to have the desire, I think, for it as well.
Yeah, it's a very specialized task list. I don't think everybody's going to find it to be the most interesting, but it's definitely valuable. But I
Oh,
know
yeah, big time.
my inner ADD, if I had one, definitely kicks in when I'm doing stuff like that, or when I've tried to
I
do
would
stuff
figure
like
you would
that.
like CRO more. You're always on analytics trying to,
Yeah,
you know,
it's
look at stuff.
only the only kind of stuff that matters to me like that is if I can extract. I guess treasure would be like the traffic, but it's like, you know, PBN hunting, that kind of data analysis excites me a lot more. It feels more like I'm uncovering some kind of mineral or something like that and
So more of a numbers
excavating.
game.
Yeah.
More numbers, less colors.
Hey, speaking of numbers, let's segue into how you like to use Yandex and Clicky, because that was something that I hadn't heard anybody, you know, express, and now I'm sitting here like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'm gonna give that a try.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I mean, before I found Yandex out,
Mm-hmm.
I, I mean, and I mean, I am quite technical, but for some reason, you know, after each update, I was the type of guy that was getting frustrated trying to learn analytics
Mm-hmm.
again. And I mean, I have to say, I don't really like the UX of it. And basically, you know, they do dimensions, right? And I mean, yeah, you know, I've dealt with big databases and big
Mm-hmm.
data, but for some reason, I never felt like super comfortable with it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I literally stumbled on it, and Yandex essentially is like analytics, but the difference is, from experience now, is that it's actually, and it's funny, it's more accurate on the Google data itself
Interesting.
than analytics. It's more accurate
How is
because
that? I don't even know.
Yeah.
it's
How?
more accurate on Bing. It gives you even a lot of more keyword like referrals. So you have a more like keyword data for the referrals.
Uh-huh.
And on top of that, the bounce algorithm, or yeah, calculation they use, I think is makes more sense. Basically, the way they calculate the bounce rate is that if a user interacts with a page at least for, I believe it's 15 seconds, which, you know, at the end of the day, is quite accurate. And but most importantly is that they have recorded sessions for users, which then you can aggregate and create heat maps.
Okay.
So if you create, you know, some sort of triggers, you can, you know, filter by whoever visited your cart page, and then, you know, try and take a look about, you know, what the funnel was, you know, what the journey was for the user and how he interacted with the page, why
Mm-hmm.
he fell through, why he continued. And I mean, it's kind of an integrated, you know, basically it's like having crazy egg and analytics at the same time. So it's quite amazing, and you're not creating footprints as well.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I think that's one tool I love for all
Yeah,
most
that's
money
awesome.
sites.
Mm-hmm.
And Clicky also is another one which is decent for anyone who doesn't want to create footprints
Mm-hmm.
on PBNs maybe.
Sure.
I believe it's free for each email, so you can create an email on the domain itself and have an account. So yeah,
Nice.
that's
Going back to the heat maps with Yandex, I've never done any kind of heat maps myself, but uh, I thought I thought maybe that was something that was possible with analytics. Is that not something you can do with analytics at all?
it's not something I never really gotten. I mean, usually when before this, I would probably would use like tools like Crazy Egg probably, or what was the other one called? The Can't get the name. But no, I mean, I don't know, to be honest.
Okay,
It's something I ever tried with analytics.
gotcha. And what was Clicky again? Can you talk about Clicky a little bit more
Yeah,
for our
essentially
listeners?
it's it records traffic in its basic form. But I mean, the positive thing about it is that if you're worried about footprint, maybe you have three sites, three money sites, and you want to reduce your cost, so you plan to use your PBNs on multiple sites um, for some reason. So basically, reduce your footprint. It's a tool that monitors your traffic, gives you from where it's coming from. I mean, it's quite basic, but it's free. I mean, I would use it if I am. Some people are really afraid of Google. With Search Console or the analytics and anything that touches Google.
Okay.
If you fall under that hat, Clicky is one of the options you can use.
Gotcha.
I would probably suggest Yandex.
How long
But
have you
then
been using Yandex for now for this purpose?
Sorry?
How long have you been using Yandex for this purpose now?
I think it's going to be a year almost.
Okay.
And I mean, I think the only thing we're using like Google properties is Search Console, just because kind of you have to. Um, mm, I think that's and Tag Manager. And Tag Manager just because for retargeting stuff, and for some functionality, it comes in handy as well.
Okay.
Gotcha. So Yandex you're using on both PBNs and money sites.
I mean, when there's a PBN, I mean, basically for PBNs, for sure. I mean, it would be too much of a hassle to use anything else, really. But even for money sites, we always use Yandex as well, yeah.
So just better overall. Cool.
Yeah, I
Definitely
mean,
have to check into it.
it's quite interesting.
Now, I mean, you operate in some of the most competitive niches. Via this conversation, it sounds like you're sort of more of an on-page guy. Would that be accurate, or what's your stance on that?
Yeah. I'm not sure, but I mean, basically, the thing I think, basically, I mean, my whole on-page interest came actually from off-page, because when we started, you'd run the same process, and you're sure it was like the same thing, and then you run it on one site, and you see the site fly. And then you run the same thing on another site, and like nothing happened. And of course, it's always bad links, right? Isn't it?
That's what they say.
And I started getting really frustrated about that. And I mean, sometimes it's obvious you can answer, but then you have those situations where it's maybe a bit deeper than just spending an hour or two on a website. And that's how my interest kind of got more into SEO on the on-page bit. Because from one hand, you kind of, you feel bad because your, let's call it service back then, is not delivering. And without having an answer, you can't really say much.
Right.
And so yeah, that's how kind of I got into the on page. But then over time, it all kind of started clicking that at the end of the day, a good site basically needs to have all signals in place. And that's maybe the difficult bit on SEO, because you just need to have all the signals in place. If you have a signal that is overpowered in some cases, and you'd end up with a website that is excuse me, unbalanced, and that is it's also an issue you need to deal with.
Sure.
But yeah, without getting into the whole geeky stuff, the on page, I mean, you can the first thing is like the basics. As long as you have your basics like in place, you know, so are, you know, just cleaning, making sure that your SERPs are clean. You know, pages that are 301ing shouldn't be there.
Right.
404s shouldn't be there. Pages that are,
Yeah, the basic maintenance of the
yeah,
site.
but I
But
mean,
now, would you
I'm talking
say?
about SERPs, right?
Uh-huh.
So, you know, just scrape the SERPs, make sure like nothing is there, nothing. Clean. All pages are indexed, you know, basic, like technical stuff. Um, you know, just reduce tier ones. You know, on page, so no broken links. Then just running basic H1s, H2s. And then from there, you know, just start optimizing using whatever tool you like. You know, whether it's a free tool like Website Auditor maybe, or a paid one, that Pop or Surf or whatever. And then start joining the dots. That's where you need to start thinking there, because when you start joining the dots, it's and but there's a lot of tools now that you can use. You know, I mean, recently, I mean, there's this really cool tool in Links, I think it's called. But even Pop actually are doing entity mapping. So, you know, there's a lot you can do. It's just a question of interpreting of how you can make Google think or understand that you are covering the whole topic, right?
Right.
So that's what it's all about.
Now, in niches like this that are hyper competitive, would you say that it's extremely advantageous as far as like your pocketbook goes to start with good on page? Like those fundamentals are going to help you grow exponentially with off page, but that you'll have to try, you know, significantly less with the off page if your on page is on point.
I mean, I think with it really depends on which niche you're referring to, but
Really?
most of the niches we deal with, I mean, I wouldn't even suggest for anyone that doesn't have experience to even get into them, to be honest. Because I mean, um, I mean, it's the type of niches where like money don't solve all problems. That's the issue with
Sure.
them. And so, and I mean, that was probably one of the mistakes I did when I started. But unless you know the niche, you know, it's like inside out, and you perform some really deep keyword analysis, and you find that small pocket that might return some ROI. To be honest, I mean, I wouldn't even consider it now if I was in that situation.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, I think the only way for anyone to make some, like, you know, to not compete, but, you know, to take a big small bite of the cake would be to have like literally to be an expert on the topic already. So I'm not talking about like basic keyword research. Like, so I'm talking about topics that keywords to come probably.
Sure.
Because I mean, I think it would be, I mean, yeah, you know,
Extremely
if
niche
someone's
specific.
starting out, I mean, adult maybe, you know, because adult is a bit different. But when it comes to casino, for sure, it has become a bit too hard, probably.
Sure.
Pharma, it is what it is. You know, payday, there are some clusters which are accessible, macro clusters at least. But yeah, you know, but if you're starting out, it's not niches I would suggest for sure.
Right. But that's, I mean, your entire career has been spent in these niches, right? Basically, like have you ever even worked on, like, let's say a local, you know, plumbing or like a local website, something like that?
I mean, in terms of local, I worked a bit just out of curiosity again. Um, and yeah, I mean, with the intention of spamming
Yeah,
some
sure.
TMP.
Uh-huh.
guess. But it was mostly basically GMBs with exact matches or semi-exact matches.
Mm-hmm.
And then basically building citations to them. They work amazingly well.
Mm.
That's something I would suggest to anyone starting out. But other than that, I mean,
Wait, say that again. Sorry. Citations directly to GMBs is what you were advocating?
citations, yeah, was a mix to GMBs and to the domain itself.
Uh-huh.
After setting up the markups, having the address stuff on both social media, and this is stuff you can easily get done
Right.
on. There's a lot of vendors basically.
Mm-hmm.
That works amazingly well actually, but was more out of curiosity. But nowadays I'm just using that actually as part of the EAT
Okay.
in some niches, which is kind of required. But yeah, basically, I prefer to stick to what I mean, the niches we are in are the kind of big enough to
Yeah. Yeah.
that there's always something new to learn.
Right. Keeps you entertained.
Oh yeah,
Nice.
especially Google keeps us entertained,
Mm. Yeah.
keeps us on our toes all the time.
Always.
They
Yeah.
definitely keep things fresh. That's nice. Thanks, Google.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks for the nights of no sleep.
Yeah. Right.
You know, when you think about it, they're actually like creating opportunity, though.
For sure.
With each thing that they roll out, they're creating like a new playing field, a new set of opportunities you
Yeah.
can go after, depending on how everything really settles.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it at the very beginning, how you and I and Chris have gotten to hear about the glory days of SEO, right? And it's like, I remember when I got into SEO, how bad it sucked to figure things out. And I feel like every year it's getting more and more competitive in the sense that if you're not serious about analyzing what's going on in the SERPs, exploring, what's going on in the industry, then, the days of capitalizing in this industry, I think, are probably over. It's pretty limited on what you can spam out and get a huge bankroll off of, where you're not at least going to have some competition, I would think.
Except maybe
you know,
local. I feel like a lot of locals still.
Yeah,
kinda
local maybe
simple.
is more simple, but then it's like the client getting, I feel like, is what's difficult for some people.
For sure.
I
Versus,
mean, I think over the last 3 years, what have improved after all is that I mean, we have some amazing tools which I think weren't available. I mean, if you just touch Quora for a bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these tools are so powerful that we're talking a different game.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of opportunity, I think a lot of people kind of ignore one and the most important thing in SEO.
Oh my God!
And
What is it?
that's not links, that's not on page,
Mm-hmm.
and but it works against clients. It's
What's
time.
that? Time,
Time.
sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Basically, I mean, the job of the SEO essentially is to put things into a growth trajectory, right?
Right.
I mean, as long as the site is in a positive trajectory, an SEO can only do so much.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, Google will still need its time to put the site where it thinks it should be.
Mm-hmm.
Then, after things kind of get back into a linear position, then the SEO needs to kind of go back to that and see what can be done again. Probably some people try to maybe do too much sometimes, especially when they are pressured from clients,
Right.
in some instances. And unless you know exactly what you're doing, you need to wait for that straight line to do the next move.
Right.
Can't keep doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, nowadays, I think that's maybe one of the small advantages we have, is that we know what the next phase will require.
Right.
So we basically, shift to the next phase while the previous phase is still being developed. So we kind of try to create that linear line of growth without having to wait for that straight line. But again, you still get that odd website where, your expertise doesn't always go exactly as planned.
Sure. Yeah.
But it's time. It's all about time.
I feel like that's a really hard pill for a lot of people to swallow, even a lot of
It is.
SEOs, you know.
And it is. Yes, it is.
We everyone learns it in the beginning. Everyone learns, like, you have to wait and see. But even you still see people that even really should know what they're doing at a certain point, and they still, it's like they kind of forget that point. They think they're too good for time to matter anymore. They think they can just like do it immediately and get results. But
I mean, if there's anything I've came to understand, I mean, it's about SEO is there shouldn't be any secrets about SEO, because anyone that wants to stay in the game basically needs to keep investing into what's going on, and the complete sharing of information. The communities are so important just mainly for that, because one person basically can't absorb and do all the research.
No.
And the time factor, but yeah, I mean, the problem is that sometimes, don't oversell SEO if you're doing clients. Don't never oversell SEO, because it will bite you back, and it's just don't do it, literally.
So with the way things are moving, with all the updates that Google will continue to roll out, and just how SEO is evolving, what do you see any kind of difficulties in the future, or do you think it's, at least for the present time, is going to be something that we're going to be able to keep up with?
Yeah, I mean, I think the times of winging it are kind of getting over now.
Yeah.
I think that people should start focusing on, especially unless they have the systems in place, on niches. That's for sure, because there's a lot of things that are niche specific now, so you need to kind of specialize when you're starting out. In terms of the old backlink on-page stuff. On-page, everyone knows that on-page is not what it used to be. So everyone should start really looking into that, and everyone should probably start reading a bit less and doing a bit more.
Right. Sure. Always
because
helps.
I mean, all the theories I've read when I started, and then you start testing stuff, and wait, wasn't this supposed to not work?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to trust anything that's been out there for.
So yeah, and so yeah, I mean, read, but do more.
Well, read and do, right? It's like, if you see something, don't take it. It's what we see all the time. It's like somebody read something and, but that said this, so that must be the way it is. Well, no, unfortunately, if you go out and test that, any variance of what you read might occur. And it's going to be based on different criteria. Like you said, the niche is all specific. What you're doing on page, off page, etc. So it's about playing with the variables, right? Self-exploration.
I mean, actually, I was speaking with a very good friend of mine this morning or last night, call it what you will, and he's doing a really exceptional thing, actually, just buying spam domains. What do you look for when you're looking for a domain? Chinese links, right?
He's looking for Chinese links, yeah.
Literally,
Dude, have you ever used them for like
Chinese
301s to like Web 2.0s or anything like that? It's awesome. Spam links.
To be honest, I haven't.
It's awesome, man. Like, you can you can buy something where it's like the main criteria I look for is it spammy as shit, and then is it indexed? If I see
Yeah,
both of those things, then I know I can probably play with it. And you can test it just by, using it as a PBN, sending a backlink to something. But if it's good, 301 with a really spammy domain, maybe not to your, not directly to your money site, but as a tiered option is I like doing
Nick
it.
really likes the dirty stuff.
I like some dirty stuff. I think it's fun, And you buy these spammy domains, everybody's like, oh no, oh my gosh, it's like you bought a domain with 1 million links for $9 and let's see what the fuck happens. If it blows up, it blows up, but it was a lot of fun trying, right? Like
this is really bad neighborhood for me now.
yeah, bad neighborhood for all of us. We shouldn't have gotten together.
Actually, there's one thing I wanted to share
Yeah.
today for anyone still around. So I ran quite a big test. Yeah, testing is my thing. And I was actually I'm currently talking with Ted, I think, from Pop. Maybe we just do something about it. But yeah, let's just share it here.
Sure.
So so people talk about keyword frequencies or term frequencies, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I found this amazing correlation this week. When you have those domains where you have that dash in the URL,
Yeah.
right? And essentially, let's say you have best Hoover, best what? Give me a word.
Best dash vacuum cleaner.
Best vacuum cleaner.
Sure.
So there's a big correlation difference between having a domain best vacuumcleaners.com and best dash vacuum dash cleaners.com.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. So basically, if you analyze your source code, best vacuumcleaners.com, that's not an exact match, but that's an LSI if anything, right?
Okay.
But best dash the domain that has the dashes essentially is picked up by Google as a keyword frequency.
Oh.
So, oh,
really?
Yeah, yep.
So dashes are good.
No, bad.
Dashes are bad. Okay.
Yeah, because then basically what happens is that when you need to de-optimize all your team, because all your team links, you need to rebuild them using the incomplete URL.
Okay.
Because otherwise they will be picked up as another frequent. Basically, you'll be over-optimized by a mile, and they will underperform like literally. And I there's a project I'm involved in Sweden that literally, just by doing this, so we went through all the all the menu links, all the OG titles, all the whatever we could find, and changed these links to, I don't know the name actually, but yeah, basically just remove the domain and change them to just the path. And we moved from like 12th to 13th for like quite high competition actually to 4 in a couple of days, and
awesome.
The moves are like it was one of
the
high
competition, right?
Medium. I know it wasn't like high, but the moves were like really acute enough to show like really significant indications. Right, and I mean, for on-page stuff, I mean, we don't really need to wait. So as long as you force index, you see the changes in minutes, right? So
very cool. That's awesome. Appreciate the tidbit. How long have you been testing that?
How what?
How long have you been testing that? Or
this thing. I mean, basically, this domain was really strange because we have our systems and stuff, and this particular domain was underperforming by a mile in a niche with you know, like I said, I mean, it's not hyper competitive. It's like, you know, it's competitive, but not top.
Sure.
It got me curious. And last week, literally by coincidence, I ran a couple of page optimizer because I was mainly using Surfer, and that's I think one of the issues now with SEO. Surfer is good at one thing, Pop is good at another one, cognitive SEO is good at another one. You end up getting a mortgage for tools.
Yeah.
Big toolbox.
Yeah, huge toolbox.
Yeah. Actually, we also build our in-house tools now.
You have a coding background, right?
Yes, more or less.
Yeah.
My background is coding and trading.
Yeah.
So numbers and code.
Nice.
And yeah, the difference is that Pop use the source. So basically, they use the code for the data, and I noticed, oh wow, we really over optimized. And then I I ran the same test on domains with these dashes stuff, and yeah, you know, it was in front
Couldn't
of
find the same thing. Yeah.
me really. I mean, it's not like big news. It's in front of us, but it's one of those things that, I mean, I was surprised. So if
It's good
anyone,
information for anybody starting on anything
same issue.
new
I mean,
or yeah, if they're having issues. I mean, that's a pretty tricky bit of information to find, you know. You have to, you know, be heavy into exploration to figure something like that out.
And just to clarify, are you talking about just the root domain, or are you talking about dashes and like inner page URLs as well?
No, mainly I'm talking root domains because I mean for exact match domains, right?
Yeah, okay.
So just having that dash, that's the difference.
Well, you heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
From
No
Adrian,
dashes in your root domain. If you have them, go buy a new domain now. We sell domains, so one from us.
I mean those are usually, yeah, I mean domains you might find, right? So and you'll think that, I mean they are solid, they work really well, but you have to first de-optimize your team.
Okay.
That's the trick. Basically, you have to de-optimize your team, so only buy them basically if you have some coding skills.
Sure. We're out.
Cool. Thanks for the tip.
Yeah, thanks for that. Maybe start winding down. I think we've been going like an hour, right?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Maybe some just like finishing touches, like you know, where you see SEO going here in the future, what your plans are for the future. Anything along those lines?
Yeah, I mean, look, I mean, basically, the way things are going with SEO is, yeah, it's the big word, proximity, I guess. Everything is changing to, you know, to proximity, whether it's location or topics. So, you know, just yeah, SEO need to kind of up their game. I'm guessing, you know, we'll have a bit of a, you know, the game is changing. Look, I mean, especially for the local guys, I mean, some of the niches, Google is constantly, you know, trying to get more estate with the zero click SERPs now as well. So anyone starting out, you know, make sure to do your homework. What niches you're going in, what niches you're not going in. For sure, I would definitely suggest to do some research in you know, the PPC and then GMB, or you know, ways of how you can get into niches more effectively potentially and maybe faster. I mean, for myself, I mean, we have some projects which at least, you know, that's one of the positives, I guess, is that they are, if you will, SEO friendly, because there are some niches that just because of the nature of how they are, they maybe have a bit of more longevity in terms of SEO, you know, which are if you think of voice, right? No, I mean, yeah, no one's going to ask voice to play for a slot, I guess. Well, I'm not sure how that would work. Um, but yeah, I mean, just keep updating yourself and be up for the challenge, because challenges are constantly increasing, and the game is getting constantly more hyper focused as time passes. And I think it's affecting mostly the local SEO at the moment, for sure. But it's also moving to affiliate with all the real estate Google is getting now with the snippets and all the positions. So just keep on the ball, keep focused, and you'll be okay, I guess.
All right, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, Adrian Borg. Yeah, thanks again, man. We really liked having you on.
Yeah, really
Good talk.
appreciate it. Great talk,
Same,
great
guys.
tidbits.
It was
man.
nice talking to you.
Look forward to talking to you again.